you have enjoyed the camp up to now. The start of today was brilliant. MashaAllah, Aisha recited beautifully with excellent tajweed. It was amazing, the tajweed that she was doing. Even, I don't know how to say it in English, the huruf yarmaloon and all of these things, that she could do it in a very perfect way. MashaAllah, excellent Aisha. Alhamdulillah, we started today's camp with a very, very beautiful recitation by Aisha. May Allah protect her, bless her, and give her the energy to reach whatever she is looking for, inshallah. So our time is 2 hours for this, 1 hour, I'm supposed, it's now 15 to 10. So 1 hour I'm supposed to give you a boring talk, and then the next hour we are supposed to have some presentations, and we will have some questions and answers and feedbacks on the presentations of some of you who have prepared. We do have 2 or 3 presentations who have been planned and prepared from before, and then we have the task of our Bahmanpur, which he gave us yesterday, about a theme or a subject or a passage from the Quran to work on, to write the aims and objectives and things like that. Fine. So, if you are tired, recite a salawat. Oh, thank you for being honest. Okay. What about those people who were playing Uno? Up to late night, they're not tired. Okay. So, holistic approach. This is the title of my talk. This title was suggested by Brother Azhar to me to talk, and I thought it's okay. I can prepare something and I can think of something to share on this topic for you. What do we mean by holistic approach? Holistic approach, holistic is a general term which is used in so many things, including in education. Even one of the one of the theories in education is called holistic education. What I'm going to talk is not that holistic education. If you Google and find holistic education, what I'm going to talk is a bit different. Not completely different, but a bit different from that holistic education, which is known as a school or as a maktab or theory or approach or view or paradigm, whatever you call it, in education. That is called holistic education, which is a bit different. What we are going to have, holistic approach in religious or in Islamic education. This is, inshallah, going to be the title. So what comes to our mind when we say holistic? What comes to your mind when you say holistic? Yes? Completely. What else? What comes to your mind?
Mind, soul and body.
Mind, soul and body. Good. What else? Sorry? Taking everything into account. Good. Integrating different aspects of Islamic education, yeah, together, good. So what else? Looking at things from various angles, good, good. So I should have consulted with you before preparing my talk. Alhamdulillah, you already mentioned whatever I wanted to mention. So this is holistic approach that you mentioned. Looking at one issue from different angles, integration of different components or elements of something, seeing something as a whole, seeing something as a system, yes, taking the parts into consideration. This is the idea of something that we call it holistic, which is done. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. I'm being honest, this is done. This is holistic approach. But the difficulty is how you have to apply it. So let me stand up so that you can see clearly. The holistic approach, yes, is what you said. I'm going to add a few more things on to whatever you said, which all of them were correct. Whatever you said, Brother Jamal, sisters here, everyone, was correct. Holistic approach means that instead of singling out one element of a whole and focusing on that part, on that section, seeing the whole thing as one integrated whole, as one system. This is the whole approach, the whole thing in holistic approach. So, few things I want to add in here. When we say that in Islamic education we have to have, or we better to have holistic approach, what we mean exactly and what we have to do to have that approach. First of all, do we all agree that holistic approach is something good or it's not something good? It's good. The reason is, we can talk a lot, this is a philosophy, but only one point. As some people who are interested in teaching children in state schools or in Sunday schools or whatever, or at home probably, when we are teaching youngsters and children, we are not being professionals in the sense that we want to teach them some of the theories in Islamic philosophy, some of the views in Islamic theology, some of the views in Islamic politics, some of the views in Islamic legal system. This is the job that we do in where? In university. Inshallah, when you come to the college, to university, of course, this is your job. You have to go into the detail, you have to choose your title, you have to choose your topic, you have to be very focused, very limited, very lucid, very specific, not general, not holistic. Your field of study should be very clear and very specific. But when we are teaching children as the age, for example, at the age of Abbas, Amir Abbas, چند سالته? How old are you, Amir Abbas? 6, yes? Or the age of Aisha. Aisha, how old are you? 10. When we are teaching Aisha or Amir Abbas, these ages, we don't want to teach, for example, one of the theories of Islamic theology. In Islamic theology, we have so many theories, so many scholars. Yes, nazariyat, theories, views. Same we can apply in Islamic philosophy, in Islamic economics, in all branches of Islamic knowledge. This is the job that we do in an academic circle, in universities, in the colleges, or in higher levels of Hausa studies. But when we are teaching children, we have to have that holistic approach. Holistic approach means that we have to introduce religion, in our sense, Islam, as a whole, as a plan for life. This is a good terminology that we can use. Islam has a plan for life, and that plan has got different angles, different components. Am I right, sister? I hope I'm right. Yes? As something, as a plan, and that plan has got some ideas for its social aspect, some ideas for its theological, aqaidi, some policies and plans for its moral things, for different angles of that life. So it's a plan of life. It's a plan of life. Religion itself can be defined as a plan for life, isn't it? Sometimes one of the definitions for religion is a plan for life. Yes? So let's bear in mind, when we are teaching children, we are going to introduce a plan for life. Or, let me say it, a kind of lifestyle. A kind of Islamic or religious lifestyle. Yes? But there is a very big but in here. When we say in Islamic education or in RE, religious education, we want to show religion, Islam, as a plan, as a system, as an integrated whole. That doesn't mean that we want to indoctrinate something which is absolutely different from the normal lifestyle. This is very important. I'm talking for myself, I'm talking in my own ideas. Maybe other people have got their own ideas, but this is what I am thinking and I do believe. When we say holistic means that teach children a lifestyle or give them a plan, a holistic plan with different components, give them the wider picture of religion. That doesn't mean that, okay, give them a life which is totally different from the life of normal people in the... If you want to apply this thing, if you accept it, and if you want to apply in your syllabus, in your teachings, that can have a lot of practical consequences. The most important practical consequence of applying this sentence, if you believe in this sentence, that giving the plan or giving the holistic approach doesn't mean that giving a completely different, isolated plan, which is very much different from the plan of normal people. If you apply this, do you know what happens? One of the things which happens is that whenever you want to design a lesson, whenever you want to write a book, whenever you want to deliver a lesson, you have this in mind that this child or these children that I'm going to present this one, these are the children who are living in a society which is not necessarily religious society, let alone Islamic. It's a multicultural, it's a open society, including many people and containing many people, including Muslims and religious people. So that's why that holistic requires that that child and those children, they should know, based on your religious education, Islamic education, how to communicate with, not only with themselves, with the members of their own faith, but also with the members of other religions, with the members of no religion. Because, again, if we believe that that plan doesn't mean that we want to, again, give some information and put this image in the mind of our children that if you want to be a Muslim, then everything is different. If you want to be a religious, a moral person, then everything is different. No, that's not. I'm not saying there's no difference. There are some differences. There is a lifestyle, but that lifestyle doesn't mean that you have to abandon your normal life. Why I'm emphasizing on this point right at the beginning? Because sometimes the way we teach, the way we present our religion, the image we make in the mind of our audience, students, gradually gives them this impression that to be a mu'min, to be a Muslim, to be a religious, a practicing mu'min, means that you have to be strange. You have to be abnormal. This can come to gradually. They wouldn't tell you. They wouldn't tell you. That's why I do strongly believe that even though holistic approach means introducing a whole plan, but that whole plan has got some elements on how to communicate with everyone, with the world, with everyone. So that is not, again, indoctrination of a kind of isolation, a kind of, you want to keep yourself in a very specific loop and you don't know how to communicate with the people who are outside of this loop, who are outside of this. If I want to talk about this issue, it takes ages and ages and ages, especially for those who are studying Hausa in particular, Islamic studies in general. This is extremely important. The way we show this, the way we talk about Islam, the way we talk about Islam, it shouldn't be in a way that, no, Islam and Muslim, it's a kind of isolated, very much different from anything else. You have to come and be Muslim and then you understand how Islamic lifestyle is, what Islam is. So, this is one point. Yeah? So, another tangible consequence of believing that sentence that I said is your lesson plans, most of them can be a very normal, but that religious point could be and should be part of it. One of the brothers asked me one question when I was having breakfast. He said, we have here the brother? No, he's not here yet. Yeah, here. The brother said, for example, I'm having, what you having? Puppet shows? Puppet shows for children age 5 to 10, 6 to 10, 5 to 10. What I told him that more than 90% of the show should not have any relation to Islamic issue. Should be very normal. 10% maximum Islamic, the approach should be Islamic. Your aim and objective, your orientation should be Islamic, but the way you show it, the way you act it, the way you deliver it, very fantastic, fun, attractive, but of course, the way you take throughout your show, the way you take the audience and your child to take him to a destination, that approach, that plan that you have in your mind, which is your scenario, which is behind the show, there's something moral, Islamic behind it. But again, starting all by the Quran, using too much terminology of Islam, and thinking that, okay, alhamdulillah, see, so many terminologies, starting with Quran, and then starting a hadith from the Prophet, again another ayah, again another hadith, again a story from the Prophet, again, and thinking that, mashallah, this is, see how much input, how much information, how much Islamic, how much religious. No. That impression comes to mind. If you want to be Muslim, you have to. So, sometimes for youngsters, it's a good idea to take them to camps, even some of the people who are young over here, to have fun activities, 1 hour, maximum 2 hours per day, one religious, one spiritual session. It's not waste of time, brothers and sisters. It's not. Let them enjoy themselves throughout the day. Let them have one Salah Jama'ah and one spiritual session, or one, for example, reading the Quran and contemplation of some of the verses of the Quran. It's okay. We don't need necessarily to bombard, to pack in the way that we are doing it at the moment and over here. We don't need that one. We shouldn't expect ourselves, and we shouldn't give this impression to people, to our children, that if you want to be Islamic, you have to use so much terminologies that you don't know what they are. You have to be able to read the Quran and again read the Hadith and again nothing else. This is only, I'm not saying reading the Quran is bad. It's fantastic. One of the duties that we have is to teach Quran to our children. Fantastic. But only giving this impression that as long as you're able to memorize as much part of the Quran as possible, as much Ahadith as possible, do you know what happens later on? It may lead to this conclusion that they may act. They may do something.
That's a very important point that I didn't miss.
They may act, not truly doing something, or they may do reluctantly. Let them do freely, let them do willingly, let them do with joy, with enthusiasm, with love. Yes? Fine. So if we want, this is the consequence of that point, that holistic approach, giving a lifestyle, giving a life plan, a religious plan, doesn't mean that, oh, there's this circle, a loop, that everything is different from outside of this circle. When you come inside the circle, then everything is different. The way you say salam, the way you talk to different people, it's all different. With due respect, I hope inshallah no one, please don't record my lecture, and I don't want to, this one to be. With due respect, I don't think it's a good idea to too much put emphasis on and think to encouragement to children to say, for example, that we have to say instead of thank you, Jazakallah. It's a good idea that they know. It's fantastic if they say sometimes. But if we give them this idea that no, if you want to be a good Muslim, instead of thank you, no thank you, Jazakallah. And instead of, for example, thanks God, no, Alhamdulillah. I'm not saying this is bad. This is excellent. If they know, if they say naturally. But this impression that to be a Muslim is a very special lifestyle, which has the least relation and relevance to outside of that loop, of that sort of, this is, in my understanding, this is wrong. Fine, let's go ahead. Can we have a salawat? I know most of you are going to disagree with me, but I have to say, anyway. Or some of you, at least. But I have to say these because I feel morally and religiously obliged to tell whatever I do, strongly believe myself. Anyway, if you agree with me, we can plan accordingly. If you don't, then we can do something else. So, the first point in holistic approach is that for children, if we want to teach one lesson of a book, we don't need to focus only on one part of aqaid. Even if the lesson is about aqaid, no, we can have an element of akhlaq in it, an element of ahkam in it, an element of social etiquettes in it, an element of cultural thing in it, an element of many things else. So, that wider picture. Yes, let's say, for example, Islamic knowledge has got, you can divide into not only those three famous categorizations which are fiqh, akhlaq, and aqaid. No, you can have social issues of Islam, social knowledge, cultural knowledge, economic, so many things, yeah? Customs, yeah? Conventions, ceremonies, so many things that we have. We have in Islamic knowledge. So, if you are teaching aqaid, as an example, I'm going to give you one example. You want to teach Surah Al-Hamd. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. This is Quran, isn't it? You want to teach your children about Surah Al-Hamd. But I'm going to ask you to think about how we can include a moral lesson, how we can include an ahkami lesson, how we can include a social thing, how we can include a cultural, how we can include as many other elements of Islamic lifestyle, of that plan for life, Islamic or religious plan for life, Islamic life plan for life, in teaching the Surah of Al-Hamd to children. This is exactly what I mean by a holistic approach. So, Sister Shahwar, if you want to teach Quran to your children, which I know you love to teach, sorry to interrupt you, which I know you love to teach, it's good. It's good that you can have other elements. It's good that if you can teach part of ahkam, even if you are teaching Surah Al-Fil, Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Hamd, whatever. It's good if you can teach something of akhlaq based on that surah or based on those ayat. It's good to teach something, a social lesson, Islamic social lesson. It's good to teach something which they can relate in their day-to-day life. It's good to bring some examples from day-to-day life. It's good to bring some examples that the children are facing in their schools, in their lives. Yes? So again, not keeping them in the loop. The relevance and the relation to outside, to the real world, that's the children and all of us, we are living. Yeah? Let me tell you something. Sometimes we go to some good lectures, and when I ask, okay, for example, we go to a lecture of a very good scholar, and then when you ask the audience, okay, how was the lecture? They say, oh, fantastic, superb. And then if you ask them, okay, what you can do, how you can implement, tell me 2, 3 points that you can implement in your life based on that lecture. I have tested too many times this one, based on my own lectures, to see if there's any applicable point. Am I talking in the skies? Or no, am I saying something that can be applied? At least out of 1 hour, 5 minutes of it can be applied. So many times I have come across with this one, regarding myself, that they say, Hajj Agha, fantastic, superb. Okay, but so what you can do accordingly? Hajj Agha, it was beautiful. I say, okay, I know it was beautiful, but what you can do with it? Hajj Agha, you don't know that, it was fantastic. It's good to say it's fantastic, but so what? Yeah? So, the relevance to their real life. It's good if you are teaching ahkam. So, Hajj Agha Bahmanpur asks you to write the aims and objectives. I'm asking you the same, but I'm asking you to extend not to other areas of Islamic knowledge, to that plan, to that whole, to that integrated whole. Yes? So now, if you have done that objective, extend it. When I'm saying that as much as you can, I'm not saying that in one Quran lesson you have to have all elements. No, include 2, 3 more elements. Maybe you are going to teach 2 verses of the Quran and you can't relate to any ahkam. There's no relation to any ahkam. Okay, leave it. But there should be, if there's no relation to ahkam, then related to a social lesson, a cultural point, a moral lesson. Yes? And I do believe that. Whatever you want to teach, if you practice this holistic approach, you can include ahkam in it, you can include aqaid in it, in the form of story. I'm going to ask you to create a story based on Surah Hamd, not the whole ayat of Hamd, because the reason I'm saying Hamd, because all of you know Hamd, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, up to Wal-Adhalin, you know. Even one verse, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, based on this verse, you have to be able to create a story. You don't need to have this word in that story. Again, this is the indirect methodology, which later on I will be talking about. So number 1 of holistic is think about different components, elements of the Islamic plan for life or the Islamic lifestyle. Yes? But again, when we say Islamic, we have to be careful that we don't mean that everything should be Islamic. The whole lesson from A to Z should be Islamic. No, this is not what we mean is that the aims and objectives, the approach, the philosophy behind it, the orientation, the direction, that is Islamic. But you can make so many stories which are not in the Quran, which are not in any book. You have created yourself. It's okay. It's not waste of time. I do agree with you that it's good to teach children the stories of the Quran, fantastic, but not all the time teach stories of the Quran. Sometimes you need to make a story. Create a story. Be creative, use your creativity as much as you can and create a story. So, when we say holistic approach covers as many components, parts of that plan for life, of that whole you can call it Islamic knowledge, or it's not knowledge, as I told you. That whole includes practice as well. It's not only knowledge, it's not epistemology. That includes that whole, part of that whole plan is how to live, how to be, not how to know or what to know. It's about practice, it's about doing something. Okay, now the point is, the emphasis, in my understanding, should be on 3 things. Number 1, the emphasis in a holistic approach, taking all of those components into account, but some components should be giving more importance, in my understanding. So in your understanding, which components should be given more importance?
Practically to everyday life.
Agha said theology. Which components of that plan? When I say plan, you can think of different
knowledges, different sorts of knowledges that we have in religious studies or Islamic studies, and different practices, rituals. So what part do you think should be given more importance, should be given a kind of, I don't want to use this term because if I use it, you know what I mean exactly. Akhlaq and fiqh istidlali, Agha saying. Being able, the applicability of those. What else? Aqaid. What about Quran? Quran is the main source for all of us. The centrality of the Quran. Centrality. I do strongly believe that as Muslims, we have to give the number one importance and centrality. Again, when I'm saying it's holistic, seerah of the Prophet, sunnah of the Prophet is included. History is included. Everything is included, but centrality, that more weight. Number one, the Quran. So try in your lesson plans, in your books. If you want to write a book, if you want to prepare a lesson plan, try to have a Quranic verse, a Quranic theme, a Quranic concept, a Quranic idea. Not necessarily a Quranic verse, a Quranic idea, a Quranic concept. Yes? A Quranic ayah, half ayah of centrality of the Quran. This is what we should not be forgetting. Number two, as mentioned in here, the centrality of akhlaq, as mentioned by some sisters. I do believe that one of the components that should not be forgotten in any lesson plan, even if you're teaching purely ahkam, that should be akhlaq. That should be akhlaq. There should be akhlaq element. When we say akhlaq, of course, that includes the way the lecturer, the teacher, himself or herself is being with the student, is behaving. As you heard from ulama, Zahra Ramazan and others, akhlaq is not only about saying something, it's about, they can take lesson from your actions, from your performances. But apart from your performance and your actions, also there should be in your aims and objectives, there should be some akhlaqi point. Let me tell you something, sisters and brothers. I'm quoting Ayatollah Jawadi Amri. Ayatollah Jawadi Amri once in a meeting, which I was not there, but a friend of mine was there, and Marhum Ilmi was there. He quoted me. And we remembered him today as well, who was the principal of the Islamic College, and who wanted in his dream to join us yesterday. He was telling me that I was with Ayatollah Jawadi Amri, and Ayatollah Jawadi Amri was saying that if we forget the akhlaq part of religion, if we ignore it or if we don't give due attention, due weight, importance, then the rest of it would be, I'm trying to use exactly the same terminology that Ayatollah Jawadi Amri. I think he said that's undefendable, very rigid. Sorry? No, not crumbling down. Very rigid. Not interesting at all. Very rigid, very spiritless. Yeah? Dry, not interesting, not impressing anyone. What, in my understanding, in the whole of Muslim culture and civilization, the role of akhlaq and mysticism, irfan, and the role of the masters of akhlaq and masters of irfan has been significant in the flourishing of the whole culture and civilization of Muslims. And if you remove, then even the culture and civilization of Muslims would be a dry one, would be tasteless. I think if you want that taste, that spirit, that soul to be in your classes, there should be an element of akhlaq. There should be in your mentality, in your aims and objectives. Even if you are teaching ahkam, you have to have an element of akhlaq in it, inshallah. And we have to have an element of akhlaq in it. And most of the time, we are being influenced by the akhlaq things of the teacher, of the whole atmosphere. At the time of the Prophet, most of the people who accepted Islam, who became Muslim, if you go and study history, it was not because, the Prophet was bringing fundamental istidlal and arguments. No, the way he was being. فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ انْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. Because of your leniency, because of that great manner, then they came to you, they approached you. If you were harsh and tough, they would have gone away from you. Yeah, this is a very, very simple fact. Very simple fact. The youth, the children, if you make a friendship with them, if you see, for example, why they are interested in Islamic issues, religious issues, in many cases you find that they have seen someone with excellent behavior, with very soft, excellent, kind, with good manners. Even yourself, because so alhamdulillah, most of you are still young adults and youngsters, inshallah. Most including myself. So all of us, let's be hopeful. Converts. I haven't done a study. You have to have a study. But if you go to study the story of converts, most of the cases, they have seen something in someone. Maybe in some cases they have read a book, they have come across with some istidlal, logical arguments for example, for the truthfulness of this particular religion or for the untruthfulness of another religion, and they have changed. But I haven't done a research because these kind of things needs research, sociological case studies and researches. But in my very little experience, the one that I have talked to people, because I do like when someone, for example, is converted, I do like to see what was the reason. In most of the cases, it's like this. Let me tell you one experience. I was in Germany in a monastery with some Christians. There was a guy who was a doctor who had studied in America at the age of maybe 28, 9, below 30, open-minded, professional, very talented, but he was monk. And to me it was very surprising that he had studied medicine in America, in a very good I forgot the university. He had a very decent job, a very good job. Still he had left the whole life, that type of life, and he had joined the monastery and he had become the monk. When I asked him what was the reason, so what happened to you that you became monk, he told me a few stories, and he said that the main one was that when, for example, when my mother, whom I loved too much, passed away, and then in the whole system of my feelings and emotions, I was confused. What's happening? Why this should happen? And then I came across with someone who could help me, not with his words, but the way he was dealing with these issues. So again, I could see that it's not again the reason that he has decided to become a practicing Christian instead of non-practicing or even an atheist. Was something that in his normal life, in his experienced life, in his own day-to-day experiences, he has come across with a scenario, he has seen someone or he has seen with some scenario that something has affected. This is very much important, very much important, that an akhlaqi element should be part and parcel of all aims and objectives, lesson plans, the books that we have. Otherwise, let me tell you something, that the chance that we lose our children and the chance that we lose our students will be high. The most attractive thing that can attract us and our children and our students, all of us, in my understanding, that is the akhlaq. That is the gravity of morality. And we have to have an element, a portion of that gravity of morality in our lessons. Number three is, when we say holistic, we have to have a balance between basharat and being nadhir. The Quran tells that the Prophet has been sent as Bashir and Nadhir, isn't it? What's the meaning of Bashir? Yeah, giving good news, having good news to people. Nadhir means warnings. I think there should be a balance. But one of them should be, especially for youngers, should be given a bit more importance, a bit more weight. Which one? Bashir. The Prophet says to Ma'adh ibn Jabal, when he wanted to send Ma'adh for Tabligh, he said, Ya Ma'adh, Bashir wa la tunaffir. Yassir wa la tu'assir. Bashir. Give bashara. Give good news. Show the positive side. Yes? All is positive, but show it. Highlight, show, try the positive. Or there's a hadith from one of the Ma'sumin in which he says, لو فإن الناس لو علموا محاسن كلامنا. If people, they can see the beauty of our words. So that bishara, that positive side, that good side of it should be given more highlight. When we say nadhir, in younger ages, it doesn't work. If you tell your child that if you don't do it, you go to hell. That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. 1, 2, 3, 4 times, they might be scared. Afterwards, if it becomes routine, normal, then they would tell you they don't care. Even if they don't tell you, they don't care. But they may not tell you, but they don't care. And it doesn't work at all. Nadhir itself, in my idea, nidharat and nadhir and that warning should be tackled in a very tactful way. Number one, I think the way we have to implement the idea of being nadhir, of giving warnings, number one is that we should not giving a scary image of religion, God, the Prophet. There's a beautiful hadith from Ali ibn Abi Talib in which he says, someone came to him and Amir al-Mu'minin said, I see the sign of khawf, means fear in your face. Are you afraid of something? He said, Inni akhafu Allah. I have fear from Allah. Then Ali ibn Abi Talib said, khaf dhanubak wa khaf adlallah fi madhalim ibadik. Have fear from your own sin. And be fearful of the adl of Allah if you do something wrong to people. Madhalim ibadik. If you do dhulm to people. ثم لا تخف إلا. And then you don't need to fear God. فإن الله لا يظلم أحدا. Because Allah doesn't do dhulm, injustice to anyone. So this is a good point. Of course, and then the hadith continues that maybe you are fearful with regards to your aqaba. Whether you will be husn al-aqaba or su al-aqaba. I don't want to continue the hadith. But the point which can be applied in our lesson plans, in our approach in Islamic education is that, again, if you want to include your role as being warner to students, in this way that we have to fear the consequences of our own wrong actions. This is the nadara. Not making a very horrible image of the whole religion. Yeah? So, how we should tackle the idea of Jahannam? Good question, yeah? There's a sentence by this scholar who passed away, Hawkins. Was it Hawkins? Stephen Hawkins? About Jahannam. Go and see what was that sentence about Jahannam. Have you heard of that sentence?
Yes.
Have you heard? What is that?
After his death, and then some people made videos about him going to Jannah.
No, I think this is something else. I have forgotten. I think someone asked him about the creation. He said no, he doesn't believe. And then he said, they said, okay, what about before Big Bang? He said there should be God. I don't know where was his sentence, but this is his sentence. I don't know where he says this answer. He says that probably at that time God was creating Jahannam and preparing the whole Jahannam for people in advance to put people. So it's important to think about how we have to tackle the ayats of the Quran which are related to adhab, punishment, which are related to. We can discuss about this. We can discuss. But my suggestion is fearing the consequences of our own actions. And also, nadara in the sense of having sharm and haya. This is the concept that we don't have in English. Shame, we have in English shame, but it's not the same thing that we have in Eastern culture. In the Western culture, the system is based on the legal and laws, not on sharm. In Eastern culture, not in Iranian system, but also in the whole, even in India, all Eastern culture, they have something in their culture, not religion, which is sharm. Even in the religion, which is sharm. And that sharm is that you have to, as Agha Ramazani was mentioning yesterday, the adab towards God, the haya, the etiquettes, and you have to be very ashamed of, for example, not observing, not doing the due respect, the due adab, the due mannerism, which you have to do towards your Lord, which you have to do towards the Prophet, for example. This sharm, this haya, in this way. Again, the whole idea of nadir could be put in this way. And also, another one is, we can put the whole idea of nadara in the sense of being deprived from the blessings of those who are doing those. For example, if someone is not doing the salat, the person would be deprived of the blessings that if he had or if she were doing, they would have received the blessings, the awards of the salat. Again, this would the deprivation of the blessings that if he or she was doing, he or she would have received those issues. So, how much I have time from that 1 hour? 40 minutes, yes? We started quarter to 40 minutes, 14 minutes. 40 more minutes. So, one more thing. I think holistic approach can include a balance, again, an integrated approach in the way of our delivery. What do I mean by in the way of delivery? In the way of delivery, it means that the method of thinking, the method of logic, the method of the use of different types of our senses, like the emotions, feelings, logic, arguments. Our scholars told us yesterday, and we say that the whole religion, and one of the benefits of the whole religion, as Ayatollah Mutahari says, the miracle of the Prophet was the aqlaniya, and the Quran emphasizes too much on rationality, aqlaniya. The whole idea of aqlaniya and rationality is very important in all religions, specifically in Islam. But my idea is that we have to not only focus on rational arguments, even the emotions, use of feelings, they have their own big roles. Please don't get me wrong. Don't think that I'm against reason, intellectuality, or falsafa. No, I am not. But it's very difficult to discern the realm of rationality from the realm of emotions. It's difficult. You can't put a very clear border to say up to here you are being rational, but from now onwards you are being emotional. I think the word emotional and the word feelings have been given a bit of unfair label. That if you are emotional, then there's no use of it, then it's not reliable. No, especially in your lesson plans, the use of emotions on top of the use of rational arguments. That holistic approach includes the use of all of the senses. The sense of wahama. Yeah? You know how much these science fictions and fiction books have got impact on the mind of children? It's fiction, but the impact that they have. And to be honest, I do believe that it's difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's difficult to draw a line, a very clear line between being rational and most of the times when those people, they attack other people that, oh no, you're not rational, you're emotional. Most of the times they're not fair. I do believe most of the times they're not fair. And you don't know these things, the reason and the emotions, they have mutual impact on one another in a very complicated way that we don't know. And the way I come to you, and the way sometimes the use of emotions, the use of feeling, ihsasat, on top of istidlal is important. Look at the Quran. Is the Quran in aqaid? Is the Quran teaching you arguments, proofs for the existence of God? How many arguments you have in the Quran for proofs? How many you have? But the Quran touches the soul. Sometimes says, "Alam ya'na lilladhina amanu an takhsha'a qulubuhum li dhikrillah." It's not a time for believers that their heart to be soft for Allah. Have you heard the story of Fudayl ibn Iyad? When he heard this verse, he was a very indecent and very bad person. So when he heard, and then he changed totally. Someone was reciting this verse and he was going to rob. And on top of the roof, when he was going to the house of someone, then an old man was reciting, and this was this ayah, Alam ya'na lilladhina amanu an takhsha'a qulubuhum li dhikrillah. Sometimes that one, you can't say, okay, this is rationality, this is argument, or this is emotion, this is feeling. It might be a combination of all. I think in that holistic approach, we shouldn't belittle. We shouldn't say, no, that's why the use of multimedia things, the use of art is immensely important, hugely important. It's hugely important. The Quran itself is a piece of art from different angles. The whole creation itself is a piece of art, of divine art, isn't it? It's not only istidlal. I'm not saying I'm not against istidlal. I am not. But istidlal can maybe make someone silent, but istidlal is not able to make people calm. Istiqlal doesn't give tranquility to anyone. It doesn't make people silent. Yeah? I think the holistic approach requires the use of, when I'm saying this, you have to, in your lesson plans. So it's not, okay, number one, now we're going to do proofs for the existence of Allah, Burhan and Nadam. This is the Burhan. No. The use of so many other things. It's not only about the Burhan. It's not only about the Burhan. So many people have seen the manners of a believer in God, and then they have become believers in God because they have seen the akhlaq or the behavior of someone of a believer. Because of that person they have become. You can see in the story of the Prophet himself and some of the close companions of the Prophet, the way people converted, accepted Islam, has been this. Not only istidlal. So, in the Quran we have, of course, we have tafakkur on top of tafakkur and ta'aqqul, we have. And then we have iman. Iman is not istidlal, brothers and sisters. Iman, in my understanding, is from the jins. Do you know jins? From the matter, is a matter of attachment, love. The Quran says, in many cases, in the ladina amanu wa amilu salat. Iman. Not i'tiqad. The Quran doesn't ask, okay, no, prove the existence of me. Have iman. Have that attachment. Have that not only acceptance by your mind, but also the attachment of your heart. If there's no that attachment, then even if you have thousands of arguments for the truthfulness of Allah, for the goodness of the Quran and goodness of the Prophet and all, it doesn't work. There's no that feeling. There's no soul, spirit, attachment. Iman. Yes, part of that iman is ta'aqqul. Part of that iman is tafakkur. Especially tafakkur. We have in the Quran a lot about the tafakkur and ta'aqqul. But not necessarily all on ahkam. So those people who say that the weight should be given to aqa'id, in the sense that to arguments, with due respect, I disagree. If you mean by aqa'id that only we have to teach children the proofs for the existence of God, I don't agree with this. And to be more honest with you, most of the arguments that you teach them in the way that you do, not in the way that Mullah Sadr does in Asfar. If those children, they take those arguments in the way that we teach them, and to their teachers, sometimes our teachers, then they bring some counter arguments, then they left empty-handed. Is it true? Not those arguments are not good arguments. Sometimes we don't know how to say, as I told you, we don't know how Mullah Sadra is saying in his Asfar. We have very simple. You say, for example, Burhan and Nazm to your child. So everything has got Nazm in this world. So there should be a Nazm, there should be someone who is behind this order. Very simply, that child, this himself or his teacher who is not a Muslim or she's not a Muslim, they can say, okay, what about that God? He has to be very complicated. What about, so that complication doesn't need any creator? Only this complication needs creator? The complication that we have in this system, this needs a creator. What about the complication? That creator should be much more complicated, much more wise. So what about that complication? That doesn't need any creator? And then the child says, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that one. So this has got answer. And I know that you know the answer for this. Alhamdulillah, you've gone through in your... But what I'm saying is that in the way sometimes we do,
not only focusing on istidlal. And the last one, my time is over, 2 minutes left, and the last one is equal emphasis and attention to both muhtawa and ravish, content and method. The pattern, the method, the templates, the ways of delivery, the methods of delivery are and can be equally, if not more, important than the content itself. Alhamdulillah, you have the content, we have the sources, we have the Quran, we have the Sunnah, we have so many hadith books, yes, we have history books, fantastic, tarikh books, all of primary sources in Islam we have. But in the way you present directly, that doesn't work. You have to reproduce based on the culture of the audience, based on the taste of the audience, based on the needs of the audience, you have to reproduce by the help of a group of people. Those groups of people should be, number one, people who are expert in arts. You have to pack it with the package of art. 2, psychologists of children. 3, those who are educationists. So these people should think, okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Surah Al-Hamd. We want to teach in the most beautiful way, in the most effective way to children. What we can do. Can we have a good play? Can we have a good story? What is the aim? In this holistic approach, which has to have, alhamdulillah, the centrality is the Quran, because it's the surah of the Quran, then there should be element of akhlaq, don't forget that one, akhlaq, and we want to teach some ahkam, we want to teach some adab, we want to teach some social lessons, but we want to give in a very attractive, indirect methodology. Why indirect, sisters and brothers? Don't use too much, all the times Islamic terminology. Again, that gives this impression that the whole idea of being Muslim, Islam is being, I don't want to use that word, it's very strange. This shouldn't happen. This is happening. Our children and us, we shouldn't be thinking that if we want to be Muslim, we should cut with the rest of the world. We should isolate ourselves. No, this is not the idea of the religion, and Islam is the religion of communication. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu isbiru wa sabiru wa rabitu. Connect and communicate. This is the fundamental principle. Yes? That's why I told brother that for those youngsters, the message is Islamic, the orientation is Islamic, approach is Islamic, but you don't need to, in your puppet show, to start all the times with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and then an ayah, and then Subhanallah, MashaAllah, Jazakallah. They don't relate too much. And if you too much emphasis on this issue, you give a bit of uncomfortable feeling to people. I think this is very, very important. Indirect. Alhamdulillah, this idea, when Brother Azhar invited me 6 years ago, when I attended Luton Madrasa, and I was supposed, by the suggestion of Brother Azhar Shamali, to give some lessons on some books, I saw that more important than the content which has to be taught to teachers, more important than the content, the methodology of the delivery of that content should be again revised. And it's not your fault. Sometimes it's the fault of some scholars like myself. You think that we expect you to start to do from A to Z everything Islamic, everything with that terminology, everything with all the times with, no. Alhamdulillah, now it's much better. We had this APD 2 weeks ago. we saw beautiful place based on one ayah, based on a concept, based on a moral concept, which is fantastic. And for the first time, I had the feeling that, alhamdulillah, these children, they're enjoying. Not too much, not too much. We shouldn't fool ourselves. But they're enjoying. I have told this many times, and I would like to tell you again. If you want to teach children in the Sunday schools, you are taking away their good time, the time that they want to enjoy themselves, the time that they want to chill out, they want to go out, they want to be with their friends. Aisha, what do you want to do in your free time? You shouldn't be in this lesson, sorry. But what do you want to do in your free time? You want to be your friends, isn't it? Yes, to play. What do you do in your free time? Sundays and Saturdays. Yeah, TV. Same with us. We want to have good time. We want to enjoy ourselves. To watch TV, to go cinema, I don't know, to go gym, to do this. Yeah, to play, what was Sarah? Uni? Uno. To play Uno. Yeah? Well, this is the nature of human being. This is not something bad. So we are taking that time and we are encouraging, within the bracket, you can read forcing. Encouraging our students to come to Sunday schools. So I said encouraging, but you understand it in the way of forcing. Inshallah, that doesn't happen. So extra overemphasis on coming to Sunday schools, but with, the whole environment is not very attractive. They don't enjoy. That's why the indirect methodology. Brothers and sisters, don't worry about the amount of content. Less content, but in a beautiful way, in an effective way. If that one verse, if that sticks, not to the mind, if that is established in the heart of a child, not a child, yourself, ourselves, that is much more helpful than, for example, me being able to read the whole Quran with no error, with no mistake. How many people we have had in the history that who were able to read the Quran from A to Z, but who have done so much damages? It's not about being able to read the Quran. It's okay, little message. Yes? Don't worry about, for example, my Pakistani or Indian background, they want me to make my 6-7-year-old child to be able to read the whole Quran in 2 years. Okay, let them, I can tell you, I can make him to read it in 2 weeks. So what? So what? Is it only about to read the Quran? I'm not saying that's not valuable. It is extremely valuable. But it's not the end of the story. So, but what about then? What about afterwards? There are some students who are able to read the Quran, but they don't have religion, they don't have faith. They have no attachment. I have seen. They have no attachment. No attachment at all. We don't need to emphasize on only content and content and content. No, it has the ways of delivery. Yeah.
I'm sorry to be negative, but the reason why I think the community that I deal with wants the children to learn Quran is it seems more and more the only time they want Islam in their lives is when they're burying the dead, and then they want Quran recited, because the weddings are not Islamic anymore. They have the nikah part still, alhamdulillah, but that's usually separated from a different day. Very few people attend, but the wedding is not at all Islamic. The only time they need the children to read Quran, or the adults to read Quran, is now to bury the dead.
Is now what, sorry?
To bury the dead.
Sister, I'm not saying we shouldn't teach the...
I know, I agree with you.
I'm saying, what is the ultimate goal?
But they have so many people we've lost.
What is the ultimate goal? Sister, this is so much painful, so much painful. I'm telling this with my deepest pain in my heart, that sometimes we teach, we put a kind of bad feeling again about religion. The whole idea of Islamic education should not be at the cost of making people run away from deen, run away from iman. Ya Musa, ahbibni wa habbibni ila khalqi. We have to be able to really love the absolute truthfulness, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and try to help people to love. Yes, I do understand that reading the Quran is important. I do understand. But if we have this, that it has to be in a good mood. Our teachers told us that when you're reading, to us, students of Hawza, our teachers, Ustad teachers in Hawza, they used to tell us that if you're reading Dua Kumail, you don't have good mood, close it. Don't read it. If you don't have that mood, don't read it. Read it at the time that you have the mood. Don't force yourself to do something. I'm not saying about wajibat. Wajibat is different, but this is reading the dua is not wajib. Yeah? So my last point, sorry I said that, but I have gone over, but one point only. I had come 2-3 other points, but only one point. Another holistic approach is the holistic approach to deen, religion. Khanoma Agayan, the Quran tells us in the Quran so many times, in 22 times the Quran says the Quran is confirming the Bible. I do understand that there are differences. We do believe differently that there has been changes. But the whole idea, why the Quran so much is putting that emphasis on Ya ayyuhar rasul, O messengers, not messenger. I do believe, again strongly, one of the things that we shouldn't keep ourselves in a very strange loop, the message of the Quran. Ya ayyuhar rasul. All messengers, we have to have the element of the belief of all believers in Allah, all monotheistic religions, all Abrahamic religions, all Tawheedi religions, all prophets. We have to have stories, elements, moral lessons from them. And when it comes to Islam in general. Islam in general. Unfortunately, nowadays, with little excuses, we are fighting with one another. Shi'is among themselves, too many sections. Sunnis among themselves, then Shi'is with Sunnis, then Muslims with Christians, then someone comes and says, one of the main reasons for the division of people in the world is religion. While the whole religion is كان الناس أمة واحدة فاختلفوا فبعث الله النبيين مبشرين ومنذرين ليحكم بين الناس. People were single ummah, they were divided, and then Allah sent the prophets to take them back to their own original unity. Islam. Again, we do understand, okay, we have some differences. Ismailis with Zaydis, with Ithna Ashari Imamiyya, Shi'is and Sunnis, they have some differences, fine. Muslims with Christians, fine, they have some differences. But the whole approach in our lesson should not be in a way that, oh, no. I'd like the idea, that we had a play that, someone was, Sunni Shi'i said, that one person said, I am Shi'i or Sunni, the other one said, Astaghfirullah, in a fun language. You were not there in that play, I think. Who was that? I like that play. That bit, I liked it. It was showing that how wrong impression we can have about the different sections that we have among ourselves. I'm not saying, again, we shouldn't be teaching
Okay, teach. If you can teach, okay, this is, for example, in the Imamiyya, Ithna Ashariya, this is little difference in that one. But the whole respect, the attention to others, the focus on the commonalities. Yeah? All believers in general, and then the next level, all Muslims in particular. All Muslims in particular. Of course, then later on, in an academic way, in a very respectful way, you can say, okay, there are some differences in terms of, I don't know, wudu here, there. As there are differences, I don't know, between the families. And it's natural, there are some differences, yes? I think this, again, holistic approach requires good attention to other religions, specifically monotheistic religions, Abrahamic religions, Tawheedi, and also among the all members of Muslim community. Sorry, I took, I think, about 10 minutes, more than my, 15 minutes more than my time. So sorry for that one. Thank you very much. Now we have, we were supposed to have 1 hour. Now we have left with 45 minutes, but inshallah, if you bear with me, again, 1 hour, we will have some presentations. And if you want to do that one, we can practice that one. The Surah Al-Hamd, but in this way. Again, holistic approach. Let me read you the components of holistic approach. So holistic approach, what do we mean by that? All elements of Islamic knowledge, including the knowledge, practice, including akhlaq, including irfan, including history, including Quran, including aqaid, including seerah and tariq, all elements and parts and parcels of Islamic plan for life or Islamic lifestyle. And then with attention, with emphasis on the Quran and on the moralities, and then the equal the emphasis on bisharat and the nadhir, but with more focus on bisharat, and also using all types of delivery, including, for example, istidlal and the use of logic, the use of rationality on top of the use of emotions and feelings, and also being focused on the content as well as the method. I had 2-3 other elements of holistic approach, but time wouldn't allow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I know it's a brilliant talk.